Welcome back to your one-stop destination for captivating recaps. If you're new to the channel, congratulations. You're in for a treat. Today, we're diving into another thrilling recap. So, grab your popcorn, sit back, and get ready to be mesmerized.
For today's video, I'm going to recap a 2022 American action drama film called Top Gun: Maverick. This movie is a sequel to the 1986 super hit movie Top Gun, where the top pilot Maverick is given a second chance to redeem himself after losing his best friend. He struggles to be at his best and also gets romantically involved with his civilian instructor, Charlie. The 2022 movie is about Captain Pete Maverick, who after 30 years of service finds himself stuck in his ugly past, pushing the limits as a top test pilot. He must confront the ghosts of his past as he trains the next generation of elite fighter pilots for a nearly impossible suicide mission, and among them is the son of Maverick's deceased best friend, Lieutenant Nick Goose Bradshaw. So without further ado, let's find out if Maverick and his top guns perform a miracle, give the enemy hell, and come back home in one piece. The movie begins with Maverick living in the Mojave Desert, California, to avoid a midlife crisis. Maverick is busy working on his plane before we see a bunch of pictures that show how Maverick is still caught up in the past. We then see photos of Bradley Bradshaw, the son of Goose Bradshaw, who died on the same flight as Maverick. Maverick still feels guilty for Goose's death and feels responsible for caring for his family. In the next scene, Maverick puts on his uniform and rides off on a motorbike. Maverick meets Hondo in a restricted area, only to find out that Rear Admiral Kane plans to cancel Maverick's hypersonic Dark Star scramjet program instead. The Admiral wants their budget for his unmanned program, meaning drones. To save the program, Maverick changes the target speed for that day's test from Mach 9 to the final contract specification of Mach 10, which was originally supposed to be in 2 months. Soon, the preparations for the road test begin. The plane takes off and Maverick somehow manages to cross Mach 10. Everyone in the control room starts celebrating, but unfortunately, when the engines are pushed beyond what they can bear, the prototype explodes. The scene changes to a bar where Maverick shows up perplexed. Turns out, he managed to eject in time to avoid a painful death. After he returns to the U.S., Maverick meets Rear Admiral Kane. During their conversation, Hammer praises Maverick for his flying prowess, but expresses disappointment that Maverick was unable to change when it comes to the risk factor. Despite many achievements, repeated disobedience has stopped him from the flag rank. He tries to make him understand that he would have been a 2-star admiral only if he stayed true to his guidelines. He also mentions the fact that Maverick was once called the Top Gun, but Maverick has no idea why. Iceman again saves Maverick's career by assigning him to the Top Gun school at NAS North Island for his next assignment. Later, Maverick leaves for Top Gun. There, he meets Admiral Bo Simpson, the Cyclone, and Admiral Bates, the Warlock. They both give Maverick a mission explanation. Apparently, he is tasked with destroying an unsanctioned uranium enrichment plant involved in the production of weapons that could potentially end the world. But because the location is underground in bunkers and is protected by advanced and robust security measures, such as GPS and Jabber, accessing it is virtually impossible. This implies that if someone is caught, they are cut off from the outside world. After hearing the full description, Maverick asks about his partners who will fly the 3 other F-18s. However, there's been a slight misunderstanding. Cyclone reveals that Maverick isn't supposed to fly the aircraft at all. Instead, he has been asked to train the Top Gun pilots for this mission in about 2 to 3 weeks. Turns out, 12 Top Gun graduates have been called from their squadrons, and Maverick has to narrow that pool down to 6, and they'll fly the mission. That's when Maverick notices Lieutenant Bradley Rooster Bradshaw among them and raises an issue. Cyclone explains that he wasn't in favor of Maverick as an instructor and still doesn't want him here because he never listens to anyone. But Iceman brought him here because he thinks Maverick can still accomplish something for the Navy. He then threatens Maverick that this will be his last post if he doesn't take this job. Later at a bar, Maverick talks to Iceman over text and expresses his concern that these pilots aren't prepared for the mission. But Iceman believes Maverick is the man for the job. That's when Maverick's friend, Penny Benjamin, enters the bar. Maverick believes Penny is still mad at him for leaving Top Gun. However, knowing Maverick, Penny asks him whom he has pissed off this time to end up in North Island. Penny is now the owner of the bar, so while Maverick and Penny flirt, she proceeds to ring a bell that apparently means that Maverick is supposed to buy a round for everyone for putting his cell phone on the bar. Soon, the Top Gun graduates, including Bradley, enter the bar, but Maverick leaves him alone, believing Bradley might still be upset with him for his father's death. Following a debate between Bradley and Hangman over who should lead the mission, Penny, the barman on the other side of the room, returns Maverick's card and informs him that it has been declined. Maverick tries to pay with cash, but doesn't have enough. He promises to return the next day and pay, but Penny sticks by the rules and gets Maverick thrown out of the bar. There, Maverick watches Bradley singing the song that he and Goose used to sing together. Maverick leaves right away because it brought back unpleasant memories. The special training begins the next morning as the graduates assemble in a class and the Warlock gives a mission briefing. He informs them that half of them will leave for the mission. He then introduces Maverick to them as their mission instructor. Unfortunately, Bradley and the other officers aren't thrilled to see him since Maverick has a reputation for not playing by the rules. The first thing he does is throw out the books, claiming that their enemies also read them and instead puts up the graduates for practical training. In the next scene, everyone is on the base with their planes. Maverick stops Bradley and requests him to act civil with him, but Bradley believes he's deliberately going to leave him out. Hangman, who's seeing this, gets suspicious. Later, Maverick divides them into two teams and tells them to knock each other off each other's teams and not fly below 5,000 feet. Those who fall must perform 200 push-ups. Maverick knocks them all to the ground, making them realize that they still need to improve. Bradley is furious over losing to Maverick as he continues the punishment despite Hondo telling him to stop. Phoenix comes up to him and confronts Bradley about his behavior. She believes if Bradley gets kicked out for insubordination, they'd be left with Hangman. Bradley confesses that Maverick pulled out his Naval Academy application to stop him from becoming a pilot, which is why he despises him. On the other hand, Cyclone gives Maverick an earful for breaching the parameters that might have put the safety of the pilots and the aircraft in jeopardy. He proceeds to forbid him from pulling something like that again, but Maverick argues that besides teaching them to successfully complete the mission, he also has to teach them how to safely return home. Cyclone orders Maverick to brief him about his instructional plans in writing. That's when Maverick puts up his written request to lower the hard deck, meaning the trainees will practice a low-level bombing run per the mission parameters. Meanwhile, Hangman and Coyote see a picture of Maverick and Goose, only to find out why Bradley hates Maverick. Later, Maverick returns to the bar and meets Amelia, Penny's daughter. She tells him that the bar opens at 5, but he tells her that he came to pay for the drinks. Maverick then overhears the mother and daughter talking about taking the boat to the yard, but since Amelia has a test, Maverick offers to help. He later drops her off at her home and it rekindles a flame. Later in class, Maverick shows the map of the area they need to attack and explains the plan. They will be attacking in 2-plane teams along the narrow canyons to their target, which is guarded by a radar-guided surface-to-air missile. But the SAMs are limited to protecting the skies above and not the canyon below, which is exactly what they are going to learn. On day 1, their altitude will be 100 feet maximum, and if they go beyond it, the radar will spot them and they'll get killed. Besides that, 5th-generation fighter jets are waiting at an airbase nearby, which is why they need to get in, hit their target, and be gone before these planes get a chance of catching them. All this needs to be done in 2.5 minutes. Even if one of them gets caught, it can destroy the whole mission, so team unity is very important. Bradley questions Maverick's ways and argues there are other ways to fly this mission. So, when Hangman tells Bradley to let go of his past and brings up the fact that Maverick was flying with his father when he died, Bradley loses his cool and attacks him. Quickly, Maverick breaks them off. Yet, Hangman claims that Bradley is not cut out for the mission. The next day, Maverick meets Sarah, Iceman's wife, only to find out that he has terminal throat cancer. He then meets Iceman, who can barely talk, and types his message on his computer. Maverick then requests Iceman to send him to die instead of Bradley, but Iceman believes it's time to let go. Back at Top Gun, as practice goes on, it becomes evident that there is a lack of teamwork, and Maverick tries to emphasize the value of teamwork once more by making them play dogfight football while Cyclone is worried. They have some training to complete. Later that day, Maverick drops Penny off at home, and he reveals that he promised Bradley's dying mother that he would not become a pilot. Moving on to Phase 2, Maverick explains that this is the most difficult part of the mission that will require nothing less than 2 consecutive miracles. 2 pairs of F-18s will fly in a welded wing formation where precise coordination is the essential element for the mission's success and their survival. The plant rests between 2 mountains, so what they have to do is invert directly into a steep dive that will allow them to maintain the lowest possible altitude and the only possible attack angle. The target is an impact point less than 3 meters wide. The 2-seat aircraft will paint the target, and the first pair will drop a laser-guided bomb which will create the opening for the second pair. The second team will deliver the kill shot and destroy the target. And lastly, he warns them that if either team messes up, the mission will be a failure. As the training begins, there's an incident. The engine catches fire right before a hydraulic failure, but fortunately, Bob and Phoenix eject right before the aircraft explodes. Later, Maverick tries to speak with Bradley to see if he's okay. He tells him how crucial this mission is to him and how much he wants him to succeed. Bradley, however, responds rudely and confronts him about pulling his application. So instead of telling him the truth, Maverick tells him that he wasn't ready and urges Bradley to believe him. Bradley tells him that his father believed him, which is why he's never gonna believe him. So while the two are arguing, Warlock shows up and breaks the news of Iceman's death. After the funeral, Cyclone takes no time to dismiss Maverick as an instructor and takes over. Later that day, Maverick meets Penny, who tells him that he has to fight for himself and his pilots. The scene changes to Cyclone announcing that Maverick is no longer the instructor and that they are gonna follow the new mission parameters. So while he's briefing the pilots about them, Maverick manages to complete the mission in under 2 minutes and returns safely. The pilots, and of course Cyclone, are impressed, and despite the fact that Cyclone has everything he needs to have him court-martialed and discharged, Cyclone is forced to appoint him as the team leader. Soon, the mission day arrives. Maverick flies the lead FA-18E, accompanied by a FA-18F flown by Phoenix and Bob. Bradley leads the second strike pair, which includes Payback and Fanboy. The 4 jets launch from an aircraft carrier, and Tomahawk cruise missiles destroy the nearby airbase as they approach. The teams destroy the plant, but as expected, the SAMs open fire during their escape. Bradley runs out of countermeasures, and Maverick sacrifices his plane to protect him. Believing Maverick to be dead, the others are ordered back to the carrier, but Bradley returns to find that Maverick ejected and is being targeted by an Mi-24 attack helicopter. After destroying the gunship, Bradley is shot down by a SAM, so he ejects. The two then steal an F-14 from the damaged airbase. Maverick and Rooster destroy 2 Su-57s, but the third one attacks as they run out of ammunition and countermeasures. Hangman arrives just in time to shoot it down, and the planes return safely. Following a celebration, Bradley helps Maverick work on his P-51 Mustang. The movie ends with Bradley looking at a photo of their mission success, pinned alongside a photo of his late father and a young Maverick, as Penny and Maverick fly off in the P-51.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Leave us a like to help us out, and comment your thoughts on the video. Stay awesome.